Okay, well, today is Friday, May 12th. Working here, it's, I don't know, 1 o'clock almost, Friday afternoon. I'm working here on one of the last things I need to do in here, and that is I need to create a mount for these two switches. The black one there is a push button that I'm going to install as a horn button. This steering column is homemade. It's got a solid shaft, so there's no way for a normal, it's not hollow down the center like you would have with a horn button in the middle of the steering wheel. So I can't do that on this column. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put this right over here. Where are we? Look, see the space between the steering column and the headlights, that little sub panel there. I'm going to mount a little piece underneath the dashboard, flat underneath the dashboard, so you won't see the switches hardly. They'll be hanging straight down as opposed to sticking out. So I have to mount these two switches. The black one, like I said, is a momentary. It's a momentary switch. In other words, it only is closed when you're holding it closed. As soon as you let go of it, it opens. And the other one is the selector switch for either the right or the left hand fuel tank, whichever one you're going to suck the fuel out of to go to the motor. There's a selector valve / switch underneath the chassis. I think you've probably seen that in the videos that I've shown from underneath. And there's a fuel line coming out of each tank goes to that switch, that valve, excuse me, and this switch controls the valve. So you can, like a modern truck or whatever that has dual tanks, you can suck fuel out of either side, left or right. That switch you see right there, the toggle switch, will allow you to select that tank. So I'm going to start that process right now. I just took a dimension and I'm going to cut a piece out of this piece of metal. This is a 16 gauge. I'm just going to screw it flat up to the little brace that's underneath the dashboard. There's a 3/4 inch square piece of tubing running across the cab behind the dash. I'm going to fasten it to that and drill 2 holes in it, 1 for each switch. I'll show you that when there's more to show you. Okay, well, let's see. I'll show you how this ended up, if I can. It's not an easy place to film. Okay, well, there's the 2 switches. You see, here's the horn, and there's the tank selector. So I'll wire this. I'll set this up and I'll wire it so when the toggle's facing the right side, it's drawing fuel from the right tank, and when the toggle's facing, sorry, was I showing that? When it's facing the right side, it's drawing fuel from that tank. When the toggle is that way, it's drawing fuel from the driver's side. So you won't even have to see it. You'll tell just by which direction the toggle is in. And then the horn, like I said, if you notice, the horn button is like directly below the water temperature gauge. So when you're looking for the horn button, it's really easy. Just go right below the temperature gauge. You'll find a horn button. So that's kind of where we're at. And yet when you sit in here, you see, when you sit in here or you look in here or whatever, you don't see it's really hard to see those switches. I mean, you can't, you see, from anywhere in here. I'm trying to show you, getting my hand in the picture. You can't see the switches, the ones I just put in anyway. So anyway, that's where we're at with that stuff. It's one other thing to check off the list. Okay, well, it's Sunday, the 21st of May. In case you don't notice, the reason I'm doing this is we got wheels and tires that's what it's going to look like. Obviously, the wheels will, that's just primer on the wheels right now. And so the little trim ring that's on there kind of goes away on that gray primer. Wheels are probably going to be some color red, some kind of red. So there you go. The hubcaps are new, the trim rings are new, the wheels are new, the tires are new. Okay, those are going to be the permanent wheels and tires on this vehicle. What I'm doing right now is working on the hood. Once again, getting everything so that once it gets finished, I don't have to modify it, make it fit right now. And the problem I was having with the hood was the latches weren't lining up with the little clips. The little clip right there that the latch hooks into. The back ones were a little too far towards the rear, as I recall. And the front ones were in too tight, too close to the engine. So you had to actually bow the hood a little bit to get the hood to go down alongside the latch. So I'm working on remedying those problems before it goes to the paint shop. Okay? So you notice I got the gap all lined up. Look at the gap there across the top. You can't tell down the side because the hood's not latched, front or the back, but you can see the gaps look pretty even. For a Model A, those are great gaps. Model A's weren't ever that, what's the word, refined a vehicle. Never were that refined a vehicle. The other thing is I've temporarily got the horn button sitting in there on the wheel. It really finishes off the steering wheel. Look at that. Right now it's just sitting there. See, look. See? So I have to figure out a way of fastening that to the wheel. I don't know how it was done initially. But I have to figure out a way of fastening that to the wheel so that if I need to, I can get it back off again. Because what I found is that when you put the horn button on, it kind of clips into that center piece, and it's really hard to get out. I don't know what's the proper way of getting it out because it's really tough, and you don't want to damage shit to try and take it apart. So I gotta learn more about that. But like I said, it's looking better all the time and getting closer. I'm gonna call the body shop guy again, one of them. Because I talked to him about 3 weeks ago, he was going to call me back. It's been about a month now, I think, so, and I haven't heard from him, so I think he needs a reminder. Anyway, there's our new wheels and tires. 16 by 7s on the back with the trim ring and the cap. 14 by 6 on the front with the trim ring and the cap. So again, meant to look like a vehicle you would have run into much more frequently in the mid-50s. So anyway, later, bye. Okay, welcome back. Another day at Blue Heinz Garage. Today's the 24th of May, Wednesday. Making some progress. You may remember I mentioned there was a problem with the hood that I had to fix. The latches were in the wrong place. You know, a lot of this reproduction stuff, you buy it and you install it and it doesn't work. The hood's reproduction. The piece that goes at the bottom here that the latch is attached to, the piece that goes at the bottom here that the latch is attached to is called a hood shelf, I believe. That's reproduction. The latches are reproduction, so God only knows what is wrong. But when you put the hood there down and you latch it, over here you got to bow the hood in to get it down past the latch. The latch is in too far. And that's without even there's a lacing that goes on here. They call it cowl lacing or hood lacing. It's like a fiber. You can see I have some of it taped up there. That's the stuff that goes on the frame between the body and the frame. The hood lacing is similar to that, maybe a tiny bit thinner. At any rate, see, I got 2 layers in there. I'm not sure it's supposed to be that thick. Even without the hood lacing on here, you got to push the hood in, the bottom of the hood in, to go past the base of the latch. Sorry, I'm not pointing the camera where I need to be. All right, so what I'm trying to do now, again, before it's painted and it comes back, and then I got all this misalignment, I'm trying to relocate the latches. And what happens here is that hood shelf, here, it's in the back of the truck. It's right there. The hood shelf goes here. I'm just putting it there roughly. There, something like that. Okay? There's little blocks of wood that go under this because this is, it's up off of the fender. See, it sits on the fender here and it sits on the splash apron here. And the little blocks of wood go under it. And then the latches go on top of it. There's the little blocks that go underneath it. The screws for the latches, you see, go through those blocks, through the hood shelf, and on the back into a bracket that's attached to the frame. On the front, they go directly into the frame. So what I've done is made these little pieces out of steel. They're stacked, you see. On the front, they're 1/2 inch thick. The little block, well, the depth of that hood shelf is 1/2 inch at the front because it sits on top of the fender. And in the back, it doesn't sit on the fender, so it's 1/8 of an inch thicker. It's 5/8 of an inch. So I made these little pieces that will replace the wood blocks. So I can attach the wood block under the hood shelf, and then I can place the latch on top of the hood shelf. You see, I got all this room to move the latch around wherever I need it. I can go forward or backward. I can go front, in and out, sideways. And then I'll just drill and tap through the hood shelf into these pieces will be fastened like the blocks would have been fastened. I'll drill holes in here and fasten these to the frame in the front and the brackets in the back. Put the hood shelf on top of them and then place the latch where I want it and drill through the hood shelf into these pieces and screw the latch into these pieces wherever I need them to line up properly with the hood. Anyway, that's what I'm up to. So today I got 4 of these made. You see, I attached the 2 pieces with a 1032 screw that I recessed so it gets buried. I glued these together with that panel adhesive. I could have had Scott weld them, but I thought, you know what, I can glue these with that panel adhesive. Right now, I glued them and I screwed the piece together, which will act like a clamp. They'll be dried overnight. They'll be dry by tomorrow morning, and then I can continue installing them. Okay, so welcome back. Let's see, we're busy here, continuing with the hood latch update. You see I got that installed. And that installed, that'll be the replace the wood pieces that fill in underneath the hood shelf. So now the hood shelf goes on there. I don't know what you're seeing here. There. Hood shelf goes on there, something like that. It's hard to do with one hand. Yeah, it goes right about there. It's right about on the mark. Right. So, the hood shelf goes there. So the next thing I need to do, looks like I need to relieve this one a tiny bit. It's holding it back a tiny bit. Maybe I need to take the corner off, the upper radius, the upper corner. So now what I need to do is fill these existing holes in the hood shelf, in the black piece. Fill those, grind them so that when I relocate the latches, I can drill new holes wherever I need them into those filler pieces for the hood latches. So that's the next step. I'm going to fill these now so when Scott comes, the next time he comes, he can weld the little patches in. And I'll grind them, and then I can put the hood down, put the latches there, and center punch them for the holes, the screws. So that's it for one side. Very long, tedious project. As they all are, kind of. Anyway, later. Okay, well, we didn't make as much progress as I had hoped we'd make, but we did make some progress. You see, we got these welded up, put the patches in, and welded them. So now I got to grind them smooth and drill the new holes. And after a fashion, doing a couple of things over again, I got one of these established. Now I kind of have a better idea what I need to do for all the rest. Ran into a complication on this one where I went to drill the holes for the latch and ran right into a couple of one of the screws that fastens the steel block. So I had to do that over again. I took the screw out that was fastening the block, welded up the whole entire thing, filled it in, and moved it. And then re-drilled the rest of it, because otherwise I was going to have to make the piece all over again. That one isn't done yet. Like I said, I got to put the hood shelf back and drill the holes through that too. That same 3 holes that hold the latches got to come up through the hood. What do they call it? Damn it! Now I can't think of it. Ledge or whatever. I don't remember. The hood something. The piece, the black piece that goes here. Saturday the 27th of May. It's Memorial Day weekend. And I just got done putting the last screws in this. And I'm going to consider this a hard-fought success. This side is done. You see the hood latches are centered on the little tabs on the hood. They're out far enough so the hood doesn't need to be bent to get down alongside of them, in front of them. So, like I said, I think this is done. This side, anyway. I still have to do the other side. Except the other side needs that adjustment that I just did on the driver's side. See where the latch doesn't line up? You see how it's turned? It needs to go forward, yeah, 1/8 of an inch, something like that, 1/4 of an inch maybe at the most. This one here, you got to push the hood down in front of the little latch base, because the latch base is in too close to the center of the vehicle. It's got this one, the front one has to come out towards the outside edge of the truck. It's centered okay, front to back. Maybe it looks like it needs to go forward a tiny bit. But mostly it's in towards the motor, probably a quarter of an inch too far. Those little pads that go in here require like 7/8 between the center of the screw and the hood side. And you can clearly see on this one that there's no 7/8 of an inch there. I don't think there is on that side either, on the front either. The front's closer, it's better. That side's probably pretty close. Because you see the hood, I got to put a little pad in here temporarily to space that out where it's going to be permanently. But that side's pretty close. The back, I should say, is pretty close. Okay, well, these are drilled and tapped. You notice each of the steel filler pieces has 3 holes drilled in it. Those holes match the latch, the base of the latch. So one more step closer. And I'll show you one other thing I discovered in the process of getting this far. Okay, well, the other thing I discovered, you see that pencil line on the bottom of the tape right there? That represents the shape of the fender that the hood shelf sits on. You notice the step right there? That's what's designed into that piece to account for the fender. The left-hand side, that's full size, is where the splash apron is. Where the step up represents where the fender starts roughly and goes forward. So the rest of the shelf sits on the fender in the front. That's why the front piece here, where the latch goes, is a 1/2 inch thick if you measure accurately, and the back section is 5/8 thick because it's not on top of the fender. So when I put this on top of the pieces of steel, I found that this piece is tipping over towards the motor. It's lower. It's a 1/4 of an inch above the top of the steel piece, and that's why you see that it's sitting. It's another discrepancy in the aftermarket pieces. Obviously, they should have that shape on the bottom, and the people making this stuff don't care and don't bother. So it's up to you to discover that and create that shape. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. I got the holes drilled for the latches. I used a scribe or a compass to mimic the shape of the hood on the side of this piece. Of the fender on the side of this piece. So it's dinner time now. After dinner, I'm going to come out here and reshape the bottom of that piece till it matches that pencil line, and then go see how it fits. More to follow later. Okay, well, the hood latches are officially done. Good as I'm going to get them anyway. The hood shelves are sitting pretty flat. They're down onto the spacers that are underneath them on both sides. Figured out that interference between the hood shelf and the fender and corrected it on both sides. Put the little caps on the latches. So they are ready. I can take this apart, get everything painted, put it back together, and know it's going to fit. The hood gaps are even good. I do need to make a spacer to go right in here so that it keeps the hood back towards the windshield. You see how it's about touching there, right? That's where it needs to be for the gaps to be right. And what happens is you open and close it, and it on that little gap that's there on the hinge pin, it moves forward. So it gets real tight to the grill shell. So I need to at some point, make a little probably stainless steel out of a piece of tubing or something. Stainless steel spacer to go in there. Anyway, I just taped that up. My new dropped headlight bar. It's chrome. So, I put it up there and it was chrome. It's just like, whoa, you know what? I need to protect that. Anyway, I'm waiting. The next thing, I'm probably going to make a video now. I wanted to wait until I got the wheels on, and you're going to see that. But I don't have the final adjustment as it needs to be where the wheel and the fender, rear fender, anyway, that adjustment right there. I can't do that yet because of the problem I ran into with the new coilover shocks, where one of them puked all the oil out of it. So they're supposed to be sending me a new pair according to the latest message. But I'm not going to wait. I'm going to put this video up and I'll show you that in the next video. I'll show you the final adjustment on this with the new shorter shocks. I'll show you that in the next video. So that's where I'm going to call this and make another video. We'll see you later. As always, thanks for watching. I'd like to hear your comments. What you think of this whole thing. Do you like the wheels? Do you like the trim rings and the caps? Do you like the look of this vehicle with these wheels? I'd like to know your thoughts on that, your opinions on that. So please do comment. And a like if you like, okay? I'd appreciate that. Thank you very much. See you on the next one.